Hello everybody, Jesse here at the Knife Shift, your co-host, and this is my generic YouTuber voice. I don't really talk like that. Hello horror buffs. I should have just went with a still cam. You know what's up. We're doing a breakdown of my Blu-ray collection, my horror Blu-rays. You saw Jonas's part 1, or at least I think you have. If you haven't, you better go check it out because it's pretty good. Definitely had me second guessing my collection. Like, maybe I should get on eBay and order this one. Anyway, without wasting too much of your time, let's get into it. And here we are, the Blu-ray set up. Here's all the goodies over here. This would be the horror and thriller section. And before we get too much into that, I do have a couple honorable mentions I want to talk about here. So, these are the non-horror films, but there are a couple in here that debatably could fall under the horror category. So first we have Battle Royale, lots of murder, which, you know, that's usually associated with horror, but it's a little more action-y, I think, than it is horror. That's basically R-rated Hunger Games. In my opinion, it's a lot better. Not just because it's R-rated, just a better film. I haven't seen the second one yet. That was a 2-pack. But if we move down here, I know Jonas mentioned previously in his video, Godzilla, not quite horror, but definitely a monster movie. I don't know. That's monster movies, subgenre of horror. You decide. I do like, this gets a lot of hate. I do like this one. I liked it. It did feel a bit Cloverfield-esque, and I'm a Cloverfield fan, so it makes sense. The Jurassic World, Jurassic Park series, those, I definitely would consider Jurassic Park a horror movie. That might be a hot take, but you know, they're people being eaten by scary dinosaurs. That's what it's about. So, I mean, that's right up there with the rest of my horror movies. So, I'm counting it. Jurassic World gets a shout out. Jurassic Park. I actually really like Jurassic Park 3, and that's one that doesn't get a lot of love. But Spinosaurus for the win. Don't kill me. Another one I wanted to talk about down here is Super 8. That's another one that's a monster film. So, again, this one is more kid-friendly. J.J. Abrams. It's basically, if you want your kids to start horror films, but you want it to be something that's not too much, Super 8's a good one. A lot of talented kid actors in that one, surprisingly. And then the last one I want to bring up here is Upgrade. Now, Upgrade is definitely, it's even got like from the producer of, and it lists a bunch of horror films. It's definitely got horror vibes, but it's more of an action flick than it is a horror film in my opinion. So I do have it over here on this side. I don't know, maybe I'll move it around. But it's basically Black Mirror, an episode of Black Mirror, but a movie. So it's got a lot of horror themes to it, a lot of scary situations, but it's done in an action-y way. I also just want to point out Paranorman real quick. Kids movie, yes, but still a kid that talks to dead people. So that gets a mention. And even This Is the End could be considered a horror comedy. It's definitely comedy first, but also it's the apocalypse and people are dying. So take that for what you will. It gets a mention. So anyway, wanted to go over those real quick. Now let's get into the horror. Also, honorable mention here quick. So I do not have Blu-rays of these three. Grave Encounters, I don't think a Blu-ray for that exists. The other two do. They're just a little pricey and I haven't pulled the trigger yet. But these are some DVDs that I own that I'm definitely looking to upgrade to Blu-ray if and whenever possible. But Bone Tomahawk, great, underrated film. I know it was talked about for a while, but it definitely snuck in there. It wasn't a huge hit movie. I actually found out about this because I'm a big Lost fan, and Matthew Fox is in it. And I was looking through his filmography, and I found it. So that was pretty cool. Cheap Thrills is great. It's kind of like how far would you go? Like, where do you lose your humanity for money? And Grave Encounters is wonderful. If you haven't heard of or seen Grave Encounters, check it out. It's basically what starts out as a parody of a Ghost Adventures reality ghost TV show kind of thing, but it becomes so much more. Great film. Anyway, now that I mentioned those, let's get into the Blu-rays. Alright, let's start this off here. These might be a bit longer than Jonas's videos because I might have more horror than him. We'll see here. So 28 Days Later has been my favorite zombie film for a long time. I know you could argue that, oh, it's not zombies or rage virus, but it's zombies. Cillian Murphy's great. This led me to one of my other favorite films, Sunshine, which we'll probably get to later. But yeah, Cillian Murphy was my favorite actor for a long time because of that movie. So 30 Days of Night, Jonas had this one. Full disclosure, I have never seen the whole thing. So I've tried to watch it a couple of times. This is actually Leanna's movie, not mine. But I tried to watch it a couple of times, and I was sick, or like I had to leave, and I never, like whatever happens, I never end up finishing it. But I would like to finish it at some point. I'm not super big on vampires, but... So this is my steelbook of Alien Covenant. I got it from Walmart. I don't think it was a super rare steelbook or anything, but I do like Alien Covenant, and I found this. I thought the art looked great on it, so I picked it up, and I don't regret it. So Jonas spoke a little bit on the controversies of this film, so we'll leave that at that. Real quick, I realize that I keep cutting away, sorry if it's annoying, but my stuff is everywhere. And since we're talking about Alien, we are kind of going in alphabetical order here. I do have the other Alien films in the same set that Jonas does, if you checked out his video. But they're right up here. I just have mine on display, right next to Donnie Darko, the Arrow collection, and Nightmare on Elm Street. Those are actually Nightmare DVDs. But I do have the Blu-ray, and I just wanted that put out there. I really don't think there are a lot of other Blu-rays just laying around, so we shouldn't have a lot more of that. Amityville Horror. So this is one that I picked up on Blu-ray. The Ryan Reynolds version, the remake. I do actually really like this. It's been a while since I've seen it, but this is the one. I'm 30 now, so I was never allowed to watch horror films when I was young. So I started getting into them during high school when I had my own money and I could buy my own things. And that's the one that I grew up with. Now this one is a more recent one. Not the greatest, but I remember thinking it was okay. They try and take a meta take on it. Like, these characters are aware of this film and the previous films in the movie. So that's kind of odd, but I don't know. It wasn't too bad. So I picked it up when Family Video was closing. So Annabelle, not one of my favorite movies, but we have it. Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of it. I watched it. I do like the Conjuring films. I remember there was one scene where they go down to a basement or something, and they're just kind of in the elevator, like it took them against their will down to the basement level, and the door just opens and you're looking out, and that was pretty creepy. but that was the only scene that creeped me out. I don't like the idea that the doll itself isn't actually anything to fear. It's a demon attached to the doll. That kind of takes me out of it. But Annihilation, that was another one that I went out of my way to snag when Family Video was going out of business, because this is a really good film. If you haven't seen this one, it's got a lot of sci-fi, but it's got a lot of horror, and there's a really creepy bear in it. So yeah, Annihilation, check that one out. Here we go. Getting into some of the doubles again, As Above, So Below. Some of these are gonna be the same that Jonas has. I'm a decent fan of found footage. A lot of it depends on where they're going with it and how it ends. But As Above, So Below is pretty good. I remember seeing that in theaters. The Autopsy of Jane Doe. This is one that I think I just checked it out on Netflix. I was like, what's that? And put it on. And I didn't know anything about it. And this one was pretty creepy. And they play it out like a mystery, kind of. This body just shows up and you're trying to figure out what's going on. So that was a good little, fun little scary movie. Ho, here we go. The Babadook. So if you don't know, I was the Babadook for Halloween this last year, and this version of the Blu-ray has a little pop-up just like the book. If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook. So that's really cool. These are a little pricey if you're looking for this version, the slipcover that has the pop-up in it. There he is. I'm a pretty big fan of the Babadook, so that's a good one to have in my collection. Let's see if we can get that back in there. Alright. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. I hope you guys know what this movie is, because this is one of the best slashers you can get. This is a lot like Scream. It's very meta. Got a lot of horror movie commentary to it. This is the collector's edition from Scream Factory. I definitely picked this up right when it was available for pre-order. And if you pre-order on there, you guarantee that you're getting a slipcover with it and that you're getting a poster of the art that they make just for the Blu-ray release. So that's a good find. I'm glad that I have that in my collection as well. I remember looking up reviews, and a lot of people said that the normal Blu-ray that existed before this one wasn't very good. The quality or the transfer wasn't very good. And with the Scream Factory, they go back to all the originals and make sure you get a good quality transfer. So now we're on Black Christmas, the original. So this is one of my favorites. This might be my favorite classic horror film. I'm not really big on a lot of the, the very first Friday the 13th and like the first Halloween. I like them, but I'm not in love with either of them. And I think this one, which came out a little before those, actually entertains me a little more. And if you want to look into it, there's a fun fan theory of Billy from Black Christmas having something to do with a character in Behind the Mask that you can look up if that interests you. I don't want to spoil anything. Black Swan. Yes, this is one that I picked up at Mega Replay for pretty cheap. I know there's different covers. This one's white. I think I remember seeing covers that were black. I don't know if they mean anything different or if I have a lesser or a better version. But Black Swan, it's definitely sticks with you, or at least that scene, that fingernail scene does. You know what I'm talking about. That's a good one. Blair Witch Project. So I actually am going the opposite way as Jonas, where I have the original Blair Witch Project Blu-ray, the classic Blair Witch, but I do not have the follow-up Blair Witch on Blu-ray, which I do want that one. I just haven't gotten a chance to get it. This is just the standard one, nothing real special about it, but I do have it, so that's something. Okay, next we have, not that one again, we have The Boy. So The Boy was one that I think I picked it up for cheap before I had actually seen it. And when I did watch it, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but it was okay, and it served its purpose, I guess. It wasn't like I was saying to myself, I need to get that out of my collection or anything like that, but it's not one that I'll return to a lot. I might eventually get rid of it, but I don't know, maybe I'll like it more on the second viewing, I don't know. So Butterfly Effect, this is a classic. I went out of my way to make sure I had this in my collection. It's not open yet because I saw it a ton when I was younger and in school. But this one is definitely really memorable and slightly nostalgic for me. It's got a lot of actors that are still active today. It's got Eden Henson in it, and very interesting concepts. Cabin in the Woods. Now, I have a poster of this up. I love this movie. It's this one's a must-see if you're a horror fan and you haven't, which I'm sure you have. Cabin in the Woods. It's great. It's that ending. Stick it out, guys, because it's gonna blow your mind if you haven't seen it or it hasn't been spoiled. Chronicle, as Jonas pointed out, not so much horror as it is thriller, and it's kind of like a superhero movie before superhero movies were kind of a thing, but if it was done in a found footage, grounded kind of way, kind of like if a superhero movie followed more of a sinister tone. So I have it says Chucky the Complete Collection. It doesn't actually say Child's Play because they kind of dropped that after the first 3. But I do have a collection of all these. I can go ahead and get this out. So here we got the front, here we got the back of the box here. That's a little image from Curse of Chucky. The reboot one, reboot in quotations. This is the front here. Got a creepy smile face. Here's all the discs. Got them all laid out in here. And then if I flip it over, we can see the art. Right there. It's got all the movies listed. So that's that. Pretty cool. I got this for a Christmas gift from my brother, I think. So that was really nice. And then of course Cult of Chucky. That came out after that set was released, so this one is not in it. It's got a nice little motion cover there. Doesn't do a whole lot, but it just looks kind of cool. Picked that up in Hawaii actually, because that's when it was released. That's when the release date was. I was on vacation, and so I picked it up and watched it there. So it's a fun little memory of it. But I actually really liked Cult of Chucky. I love the continuity that the franchise has so far, and I know they plan on doing a series and then also continuing the films, which is nice because it helps take a little of the pressure off the remake. I think they're continuing the remake, which I don't have, but it makes it easier to not hate the remake when they're not competing. They're just both doing their own things. So Cloverfield, I have the 3-movie collection. I know Jonas had all these, but I have them all together in a collection. So I don't know if that makes mine inferior or superior? I don't know. You decide. Let us know in the comments. The Collection. Another one that Jonas had. This is the crazy sequel. I only have The Collector on DVD, and I'm currently trying to track down a copy of The Collector on Blu-ray with the slipcover still, and that's been a little tricky. So, The Conjuring, I'll pull both these out at the same time. Conjuring 1 and 2. I don't have the third one. I think there's 3. Isn't there 3? Maybe the third one's not out yet. Just the first 2. Those are classic. In my opinion, they hold up way better than like Annabelle or a lot of the popular cash grab horror movies. I mean, they did pull in a lot of cash, but I think that those ones are actually decent and deserve whatever they got at the box office. So I actually have Constantine, the old movie with Keanu Reeves, on Blu-ray. So Jonas had the animated Dark City or whatever it's called. So I have old Keanu, and young Shia LaBeouf is in that one, I believe. The Crazies. Okay, so The Crazies is great. It's one of those remakes that was done really well. It's got Timothy Olyphant in it. He's wonderful. I don't know what else to say about that. It's kind of old now. It's been out for, I don't know, I was in school, so it's been out for a long time. But if you haven't seen The Crazies, that's a good one to check out. I had to get the Blu-ray because my DVD had been watched and played so much that it starts to skip around a really climactic scene, and you have to skip that whole chapter in order to continue the movie, and it sucks. So I wanted to make sure I went out of my way. Got Timothy Olyphant's face there. There's not a glare on it. There he is, staring me down. Alright, Crimson Peak. I don't remember this one being particularly scary. I remember there were some creepy imagery in it at one point, but I don't know if that one was really a horror film. I remember I liked it though. Tom Hiddleston. Dark Skies. So, this is one of those movies that I'm pretty sure everybody else thinks is lame and doesn't care about, but the movies like this with the grays and that kind of alien thing, those really creep me out. So this movie for me, and a lot of movies don't creep me out at all because I'm so desensitized to horror, but it still works. So if it works, it's good in my book. So Dark Skies, little creepy kid doing some alien abduction kind of O-face going on. So, and another clash with Jonas's Blu-ray collection, I have the collector's edition of the remake of Dawn of the Dead. I know Jonas isn't a big fan of this movie unless he changed his mind recently, because Jonas has a thing for gun sins and movies, and I remember him not being a huge fan, but I really do like this remake. I do need to give it a recent rewatch. Maybe part of it is me remembering it in a better light than it actually was, but I did see this before I saw the original, and that will change your perception. So, Dawn of the Dead, the collector's edition from Scream Factory, and it has the slipcover, which is always nice. I'm probably going to go over these two here and call it, because I don't know how long it's been so far. We did the top layer, but we'll see. We shall see. The Day. The Day is another one of those films that it wasn't a heavily advertised film or anything. I think it went straight to DVD, but I came across it when I was looking up Lost actors. Dominic Monaghan's in it from Lost and Lord of the Rings, and also Shawn Ashmore's in it, which is wonderful. Iceman from X-Men, and he also was Conrad and Man of Medan, a popular horror game that I love and I played on Looking Glass playthroughs. So that's a post-apocalyptic kind of, we're trying to survive and humans are the monster kind of movie, but it's done in a really low budget yet it's good writing, and that's one that I just wanted to have on Blu-ray, so that's a good one. And lastly, on this top row we have Dead Silence, another movie that came out when I was in school that probably got a lot of hate. I think this was right after Saw had come out, and so it was trying to be a little edgy, a little edgier than it needed to be, but it's actually a pretty decent little horror flick if you have time for it and give it a chance. Yeah, they utilize the creepiness of dolls, and it's got Jason Stackhouse from True Blood. So one of the Wahlbergs is in it. So yeah, that about sums it up there. So that's the first row. I think I'm gonna call the first episode there, and we'll continue next time with these guys. I hope you guys liked part 1 and that first glimpse into my Blu-ray collection, and Jonas should have more parts coming soon, or maybe you'll beat me to it. Maybe you get this after. I don't know, we'll see. Alright, thanks for clocking into the Knife Shift. Clocking out.